Hello, I'm State Representative Cris Dush from the 66th Legislative District, Jefferson and the northern half of Indiana counties. I'm here today with Agriculture Secretary Russell Redding. Russ Redding has been a phenomenal asset to the state here over the last 3 years I've been in, and he's undertaken a study. That's the first thing I'd like to talk to you about. Well, first of all, welcome.
Yeah, well, great to see you. Happy New Year to you, and welcome to the Farm Show.
Oh,
Great
thanks.
to see you. Thanks for all your good work.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
First of all, I'd like to talk about the study that you've just completed.
Yeah.
Could you give a little details for the folks back home?
I will. So, at a timely question, we for 2 years have been talking about sort of the significance of ag, the economic impact of agriculture. We took this study on 2 years ago to really try to quantify it, right?
Yes.
And it took some time because it wasn't sort of obvious. We have a definition of ag, what you see in your counties and what I see in mine.
Right.
The challenge with that was that's true, but you had all these other segments that you had to sort of put into this definition. So very pleased to have a pretty comprehensive definition that's got production agriculture, forest lands, and all the food system stuff in it. So we just completed that, released it today here at the Farm Show as part of our Public Officials Day, and you were there.
Yes.
And excited about it. $160 billion worth of economic impact, 18% of the state's gross domestic product, right? 550,000 jobs attached. So it underscores why you do a week of Farm Show, right?
Yes.
Why you celebrate agriculture in this Commonwealth because of that.
It is so huge, especially my area. A lot of people don't think of timber as an agriculture business, but it is, and it's a very significant part of Jefferson County and Indiana County, as well as the surrounding counties up home.
Yeah.
What were some of the key things that you identified as far as the economic impact, other than the jobs and the amount of money? For instance, what were some of the other industries that I think people might be surprised that are invested in it?
Well, it was interesting because we have forever had this definition that said it takes the National Agricultural Statistical Service number of production value in Pennsylvania times 10 equals whatever it is, right? So
right.
7.5 times 10 equals 75. And that's the best that we had. In this, we said, it is production agriculture, but you have to have food processing,
yes.
right? You've got to have the wood processing industry, right? So that's sawmill to cabinet maker. You have to have the equine industry in Pennsylvania be part of that. You've got to capture all the conservation type activity. So that's what we did here, and it really is comprehensive. Went in and looked at all the different jobs attached to different sectors. Did it both for the jobs as well as the economic impact. The other key part of the strategic plan is the plan part, right, about what is happening in Pennsylvania ag, what do we have to really be thinking about in terms of the workforce development, the economic development and the infrastructure, trade concerns. That is all embodied in this report.
On that line, when it comes to things like our dairy industry, I've heard that there could be as many as 300 dairy farms closing here, partly because of the winter weather and some other factors. What are some of the things that your reports identified that we're going to have to look at doing for the dairy industry?
Yeah, it's a very timely question. I worry a lot about the dairy. It's the largest segment. Even forest products and the whole hardwoods industry is significant and equal to the dairy.
Yes.
But just to sort of put that in perspective, you've got these major industries of Pennsylvania. The dairy industry, it's been an industry that is dependent on a lot of small herds. It's a lot of small fluid milk manufacturers, processors.
Yes.
But we're seeing some real concern in that. So we undertook as part of our study, looking at what could we do, what should we do. And it identified the need to do additional dairy processing, particularly in cheese.
Yes.
Right? And I thought it was really interesting, and these weren't studies that the Department of Agriculture, this was Cornell and Penn State and Madison, Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin. Dairy economists helping us get there. So we identified a couple of additional processing plants we could do. We have some work to do there, right?
Yes.
But at least you have an idea of what you need, what products. Now we need to set a course for how do you do that.
Looking at the infrastructure needs of
It's
those sorts of
infrastructure,
things.
exactly. Yeah.
All right. Another thing we've got in our area, the problem with chronic wasting disease.
Yeah.
A couple of deer have been identified, created a new CWD zone that it's originating in Clearfield County, but it also extends into northern Indiana County and Jefferson County. Could you elaborate a little bit on what the department's looking at as far as helping to control that?
Yeah. And it's another one of those issues for us, right? Because it's so central to Pennsylvania, right? Either as a hunter or as a propagator on the captive deer. We have the problem. We've had some recent positives. Unfortunately, you're in that zone.
Yes, and that that disease management area is right at the border of our elk population.
Yeah.
So beyond the impact on the deer herd and tourism there, significant impact if that gets into the elk herd.
Right. A huge concern, and our Animal Health Commission, has been looking at that, working on it. We're doing aggressive sort of testing with the Pennsylvania Game Commission, both of captive and the wild deer harvest, trying to be really strict in terms of the movement of deer in and out of Pennsylvania generally, but on and off these farms specifically. But like a lot of these things, there's no sort of quick answer.
No,
right?
there's not.
There's not. So what we want to do is to make sure that we're really doing our due diligence to make sure that we're reassuring the hunters and reassuring the farmers that if you've got an interest in this, it's our problem, and we need you to be involved in helping us find a solution for it too.
Well, I truly appreciate the fact you've got Dr. Wolfgang and the others, the state biologist, actively involved with the Game Commission and also actively involved with the legislators in the
Absolutely.
area,
Right.
coming out and spending time with our constituents, the people that are very concerned about it. So I truly want to thank you for them. We've talked about a couple others.
They're great people. I mean, if you'd have told me 5 years ago that our state veterinarian and our assistant state veterinarian would be spending as much time, and particularly our regional veterinarians, by the way, would be spending as much time on CWD, I would have said no way, right? And when we have these conversations about budgets and issues and where you deploy people, it's one of those sort of interesting aspects where there's an intersection between what had been sort of a wild deer, general environmental issue now becoming one of economics in one of our farm communities, right? But we've got some great professionals, Dr. Wolfgang, Dr. Brightbill, the whole sort of laboratory system, which you're very supportive of, and a connectedness between Penn Vet, Penn State, and our vet lab.
Yes.
So I feel like we have the right people, right, the right infrastructure. We just now keep working our way into this, the diagnostic side, and really trying to prevent it. So,
one of the things I'd actually like to see is us get a little bit more working with getting our students that are at Penn State and Penn Vet out into the field as part of a practicum and spending time with those wildlife researchers. And
it would be good. One of the, you think about the captive deer and how you manage that whole aspect. They're not like a cow, right? They're not like a sheep. So just the management systems and the extra sort of work that goes into, from a veterinary medicine standpoint, the care of those animals and how you tag them, how do you work with them, et cetera. It's very different. So some additional, education exposure would be good.
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
Well, Secretary, I want to thank you again for your entire team for what you've done here with the farm show, the 100-year celebration, and the two since. It's been very enjoyable
Honored
time.
to do it. Pleasure working with you.
Same
All the
here.
best. Thank you.